In the year 2140 in Russia, the balance of power has shifted towards women. Now, they are the dominant gender and are ruling the world. Surprisingly, they are doing a pretty good job. The cities have turned ultra-futuristic, and every family owns a large mansion. The technology is so modern that an artificial intelligence housekeeper is deployed in every home. They take care of literally everything, like choosing clothes for their owner, checking their health status, suggesting them about relationships, and so on. Because men do not rule the planet anymore, bad things like crimes, wars, and so on no longer exist. This has elevated the life expectancy of humans to an average of 150 years. Basically, this is the ultra-modern society that humans have dreamt for since ages. In the first scene, we are introduced to Lisa, a history teacher. She is 50 years old, but has the appearance of a 25-year-old due to the advancements in technology. She is beautiful, tall, and elegant, the perfect woman in every standard. But surprisingly, she is regarded as an average woman because everyone else meets the same standards. One morning, Lisa watches her grandmother Anya protesting on TV. She wants all women to have the right to reproduce naturally. This is because in this world, having coitus is illegal. The only way to reproduce is by artificial insemination. Relationships and affairs are regarded as a crime, and the perpetrators are thoroughly punished. Lisa finds the protests ridiculous, so she simply turns off the TV and gets ready for work. This shows how brainwashed the people in this town have become. Shortly after, Lisa heads out, and we are shown a glimpse of the extremely advanced society. Everything runs on technology, and all the people are kind and disciplined. There are food stalls at regular intervals where one can eat for free. Video calling has also become very easy. One can merely snap their fingers and call whoever they like. All the people are given social points through which they can get various privileges. If a person is obedient, kind, and well-mannered, they are automatically given social points. However, if someone commits an offense, whether it be accidentally, their social points are deducted. For instance, if someone puts trash in the wrong bin, they can be penalized. This has made the people in modern Russia extremely disciplined, and the crime rates have dropped to zero. People don't even make fun of others, and bullying has become a myth. The consumption of alcohol and other recreational medicine are also banned because the government believes they might cause violence. Overall, the modern society in Russia is a heaven for many, but at the same time, it also has a lot of unnecessary rules and regulations which can suffocate some people. In the next scene, Lisa arrives at the local school, which is a futuristic-looking shuttle. There are several students eager to learn about history. After a brief introduction, Lisa immediately gets to teaching and showcases a video presentation which talks about the history of mankind. It demonstrates that ever since the Earth was created, men have been the dominant species and have ruled everything. They brought violence, hate, and wars, which did nothing but decimated countries. Centuries passed, but the condition didn't improve. In fact, it regressed. Problems like global warming, natural disasters, ozone layer depletion arose, and in the year 2030, something deadly occurred which changed the landscape of Earth forever. Some scientists in Pyongyang, North Korea, developed a peculiar virus which would kill all the enemies in the US Army base. The plan worked, but it soon got out of control and spread across the world. This killed 99% of the male population, making them an extremely endangered species. Now, men are on the verge of extinction, and to ensure that humanity lives on, the women have taken over the reins. They have become the new leaders of the world by taking up major positions in the fields of politics, technology, business, entertainment, and so on. Now that everyone cannot have a husband, they reproduce using artificial insemination. The females are also not allowed to be in relationships, and having intercourse is definitely illegal. The video then shows that once women became the dominant race, they started healing the Earth slowly but steadily. Fights and wars ceased to exist, and the problems like pollution and global warming were eradicated. Animals were also not hunted anymore, so their population multiplied. The forests, which were once almost eradicated, have now blossomed into even larger ecosystems. In short, the Earth has become a much better place to live in. Before the video ends, it mentions that the male population, who are called primates now, are forced to live in dilapidated parts of the city. There, technology is still backwards, and minor crimes are prevalent. Here, we get to know that the male population is shunned for what they did in the past. They are hated, disrespected, and regarded as animals. Women think that they are only after three things: power, intercourse, and violence. After the class is over, Lisa takes all the students to the edge of the colony, from where they can clearly see the city in ruins. It turns out after women took over, they left the city and started resisting in the countryside. This is because they wanted a new beginning and didn't want to use anything that the men left behind. The scene then cuts to a nearby slum, where apparently a bunch of primates live. Because the technology and other means of entertainment are limited, they live a very simple life. Some women are seen in the slum, probably because they were sick of the modern society and didn't want to live there. They want to continue living with their loved ones, free from all the strict rules implemented in modern society. Among the men is a decent-looking guy called Jira, who, just like most of the men, is a virgin. He tries his best to attract the women in his colony, but to no avail. Despite this, Jira is a kind guy who is always ready to help others. Meanwhile, we are introduced to the leader of the slums, a scary-looking man named Baron. He is sick of women controlling the world and wants to kickstart an uprising. That day, Baron gathers all the people of the slum for a speech. He mentions that some decades ago, after women took control over the world, the remaining men were treated like animals. Their rights were snatched, their names were erased, and even their families were taken away from them. While most of them were too scared to act, a few revolted and ran away from the matriarchal colonies, including Baron's grandfather. This is how the slums in the cities were formed. As everyone is enticed with the speech, Lisa arrives there on a field trip with the students. She wants to show them how primates live in their natural habitat. It's almost as if she has taken the kids out on a zoo trip to observe the wild animals. Seeing them, the men become angry as they are tired of being treated as animals. Unfortunately, Lisa and a student, Maria, ignore their warning signs and enter a restricted area alone. They are confident that no harm will come to them, as they consider themselves to be untouchables. Such has become the situation of this world, as women dare to do anything they want, even if it violates the rights of men. Just then, Jira shows up and hides the two, saying they shouldn't be here. He becomes so aroused being near a girl that he even kisses Lisa. Shocked, she whips out her special whistle and blows it, which causes severe pain to Jira. But before she can incapacitate him completely, some more men arrive there and apprehend the girls. They are then taken to Baron, who organizes a slap competition. The winner will get the chance to get intimate with the girls. Jira, who is a good person by heart, becomes concerned about the girls, so he decides to take part in the competition. Unfortunately, he is pitted against a giant who is still undefeated. The latter swings his right hand violently, but Jira ducks down, causing the nearby Baron to get smacked in the face. He immediately passes out, and the girls use this distraction to flee to their shuttle. On the other hand, Jira rushes to his grandfather's house. In the next scene, a futuristic shuttle bus stops near the slums to grab local alcohol. After it resumes its journey, suddenly, Jira pops out of one of the wine barrels. Seeing him, the shuttle owner, Julius, is startled. It turns out that Julius is a seed bearer whose only job is to generate semen so that women can use it for artificial reproduction. Because of the extreme importance of his work, Julius is given lavish privileges, just like the other women. However, he is not as arrogant and demanding as them, so when he sees another male, he surprisingly lets him stay. Shortly after, Jira properly introduces himself, and the two drink the local wine. Unfortunately, Julius gets so intoxicated that he opens the door and jumps out of the moving shuttle bus. Jira is shocked by the incident, but an idea also strikes his mind. Since Baron and his thugs are looking after him desperately, he decides to change his identity and enter the women's colony. Jira then puts on Julius' spare costume and pretends to be the new seed keeper. Soon, the shuttle arrives at the women colonies, which is called Two Hills. An invisible barrier separates the outer world to this colony. But since the shuttle belongs to a seed keeper, Jira is let in. He is pretty nervous, but a beautiful woman arrives on a cycle and asks him to relax. She then gives him a tour around the city, where many women stare at him in awe. Lisa is also chilling outside, but she doesn't notice him. In the evening, Jira is presented on live TV, where he takes an oath by biting the holy apple. He vows to reproduce healthy and intelligent babies. After this, he is taken to his chamber to rest. Jira, who is a virgin, assumes that he has to impregnate women by having intercourse. Hence, he asks his assistant to escort him to his workplace immediately. Unfortunately, there he finds out that the process is very different than what he had imagined. A middle-aged obese woman named Berta makes him sit and then hooks a device in his private parts. In no time, the device starts extracting semen from him, making Jira anxious. He tries to protest, but when he has visions of Lisa, he calms down. On the other hand, Lisa has also been affected by the incident. She keeps thinking of Jira, as it is the first time a man has ever kissed her. The following morning, Jira is taken to the reproduction base, where seed keepers like him are pampered. Beautiful women tend to their needs and make sure that they live a healthy and happy lifestyle. They are even given massages and delicious food. Seeing all the women around, Jira gets aroused and rushes to the bathroom to rub one out. However, as soon as he starts, an alarm starts blaring. This reveals that hand relief is not allowed inside the colony, as every drop of semen counts. And that's not even the worst part. Even thinking about intercourse is considered a crime, and those who do are termed as Homo sapien sexual. On the other hand, Lisa has been summoned to the local court. This is because the student from earlier, Maria, complained to the authorities that she was apprehended by the primates. Lisa's mother, Polina, and grandmother, Anya, are there to support her. She is nervous of being found guilty, so she opens up to her best friend, Tanya, that a primate kissed her. However, the latter tells her to not worry as no one is going to find out about it. Shortly after, the trial begins. Maria's mother, Vivian, who turns out to be a prominent councilwoman, tries putting all the blame on Lisa. She asserts that as a teacher, it was her job to take care of the students' safety. However, Lisa retaliates by saying that they all went there on Maria's request. She even displays the video that was recorded by her AI shuttle. This proves that Lisa is innocent, and the judge is also about to end the case in her favor. But just then, her best friend, Tanya, reveals that a primate kissed Lisa. This shocks everyone, and the judge condemns Lisa with 80 hours of community service. As for Tanya, she is awarded 20 social points for revealing the truth and being an honest citizen. Elsewhere, the original seed keeper, Julius, arrives at the slums and meets Jira's grandfather. The latter realizes about the switch and agrees to help him, but only if he keeps the whole thing a secret. Julius has nowhere to go and nothing to eat, so he reluctantly agrees. After a while, he is taken to Baron, who is chilling in a bar. Julius tries to introduce himself, but the arrogant leader of the slums simply makes fun of him by twisting his finger. That evening, Jira's grandfather takes Julius to a salon. The plan is to trim his hair and make him more appealing to the locals. Surprisingly, the plan works, and a woman instantly gets attracted by Julius's appearance. She starts talking to him, and seeing this, Baron, who also happens to be nearby, gets jealous. He orders his personal bodyguard, the giant, to take care of the outsider. The latter happily obliges, and he challenges Julius to a slap fight. In the next scene, the entire village is out to witness the slap fight. The undefeated giant is up against the handsome-looking outsider, who has quickly become a favorite among the women. Soon, the match begins, and the giant hooks Julius with his powerful right hand, knocking him out. But to everyone's surprise, Julius gets up almost instantly. He then unleashes a slap so vicious that the giant has to be taken to the hospital. Elsewhere, the caretaker, Berta, takes all the seed keepers out for a walk. At first, Jira enjoys the outside view, but soon he starts getting annoyed by the extreme rules they have to follow. For example, if a seed keeper has to fart, they cannot do it outside. Instead, they have to ask permission and rush to a nearby fart capsule. Shortly after, the group arrives at a large statue, which happens to be of the activist Greta Thunberg. Here, in Two Hills, everyone regards her as a goddess. Berta and the others immediately get to praying, but Jira doesn't want to. Hence, he gathers some of his colleagues and urges them to have fun. While most of them refuse, 3 surprisingly agree. Hence, Jira and the boys head to the beach to catch some fish. There, the seed keepers notice that Jira has unshaved and poorly maintained legs, something which is illegal in Two Hills. They also learn that Jira possesses a lighter, which is the equivalent of guns here. However, instead of telling the authorities about it, they are impressed by Jira and start regarding him as a role model. After a while, the 4 catch some fish and try to cook it in a fire. Unfortunately, the entire city seems to be fitted with fire alarms, and one of them immediately starts blaring. The 4 are then apprehended and condemned to a full day's tour of the education center. The following morning, Jira is having his massage when he learns that the new caretaker is none other than Lisa. It is revealed that she was sent to serve here as a punishment for making contact with the primates. The 2 are obviously shocked to see each other, but they decide to not say anything. The same day, Jira and the other 3 seed keeper who were caught lighting fire are taken to the education center. As expected, they are brainwashed with several videos, all of which say that women are the superior race. As Jira wanders around the place in confusion, Lisa and her grandmother, Anya, spot him from afar. Since the latter is an activist for old-fashioned people, she finds Jira handsome and requests Lisa to keep his identity a secret. In the evening, after the group reaches home, Jira tries to make his colleagues understand that having erotic desires is not a bad thing. It is a human habit which cannot be controlled. Hearing this, one of the seed keepers gets so aroused that he confronts Lisa and asks her to strip down. Fortunately, before things heat up, Jira intervenes and sends his colleague away. In this way, he rescues Lisa for the second time from being shamed. However, instead of expressing her gratitude, she warns Jira to run away inside 30 minutes, or else she will inform the authorities about his real identity. Elsewhere, in the slums, Julius has become popular among the people. This doesn't sit well with Baron, so he orders his goons to take care of the outsider. His right-hand man, Rat, takes charge of the mission and leads Julius to an abandoned mall on the pretext of looting supplies. The plan is to send him inside and get ready with weapons once he returns. But to their surprise, Julius turns out to be very handy. He scavenges the most useful supplies with ease and even thrashes an enemy enemy group called the Squirrels single-handedly. Because of this, Rat and his men decide against killing Julius and take him back to the slums. In the next scene, we see the councilwoman having intercourse. She is doing it with none other than the leader of the slums, Baron. In the morning, she checks the new batch of seed keepers that were sent to 2 hills and finds out that Julius is actually missing. She then learns from Baron that the imposter who is acting as Julius is a fugitive primate who has escaped from the slums. With all this information, Vivian becomes angry and orders her assistant to initiate a high alert in 2 hills. On the other hand, Jira tries running away from the place, but he crashes against the invisible barrier. Now that he cannot escape, he sneaks back inside the colony. Soon, the emergency alarms go off and people start looking for him. Just when it appears as our protagonist is going to get apprehended, he sees Lisa. Jira immediately asks her for assistance, but as expected, she refuses. She does not want to be near him, as it can put her into trouble. However, when Jira reminds her of the times he saved her from evil men, she reluctantly agrees. Since all the places are swarming with cops already, Lisa decides to take Jira to her home. Unfortunately, while escaping, they are spotted by her evil ex-best friend Tanya. At the slums, when Baron arrives at the bar to hang out, he notices Julius still alive and gets angry. He asks Rat why they didn't execute the outsider, but everyone responds that Julius is a nice man who has great fighting abilities. A man like this can be very useful in the slums. Right then, Julius steps forward and demands that they have a democracy. He states that there are thousands of people in this village, but none of their voices are heard. Only Baron does what he wants. Hearing this, all the people inside the bar start chanting his name, and due to this, Baron is left with no options but to conduct a meeting. Later, they meet in Baron's personal apartment, which turns out to be lavish. Seeing this, Julius becomes even more determined to bring democracy. He believes that everyone should have access to equal facilities and opportunities. However, Baron is adamant on oppressing them and using all the benefits for himself. But due to Julius' continued insistence, he eventually agrees to conduct a local election. Whosoever will get the most votes will be declared as the leader of the slums. After Julius departs, an anxious Baron calls his right-hand man, Rat, and asks him to stand up in the election as well. He believes that if there are 3 candidates, the votes will get divided and Julius will have a lesser chance of winning. The same night, the voting ceremony begins. All the residents of the slums go inside the booth and cast their votes one by one. Soon, the results are declared, and Baron receives the least number of votes with only 1. Julius gets 16, but he doesn't win. To everyone's surprise, it is Rat, who has got an astonishing 18 votes. Back in 2 hills, Lisa somehow brings Jira to her home, where her grandmother, Anya, immediately gets to assist them. She tries brainstorming ways to get them out of the city. But unfortunately, before she can come up with something conclusive, Vivian's personal assistant arrives there. She was tipped off by the evil Tanya. Before opening the door, Anya quickly hides Julius, Lisa, and also a cat inside the closet. This reveals that taming animals is also considered a crime in 2 hills. Soon, Vivian's assistant is let in, and she goes through the entire place to look for the criminal. When she doesn't find anything, she warns Anya to give up their location, but the old lady asserts that she doesn't know anything. After a while, the assistant prepares to leave, but right then, the cat inside the closet sneezes, blowing their cover. The assistant finds the 3 and is about to inform Vivian about it, but Anya strikes her head in the nick of time, knocking her out. By this point, there are cops everywhere, and it is only a matter of time before Jira is discovered. Hence, as a last resort, Anya brings out a motorcycle and asks Jira to flee in it. She explains that the only way to pass the invisible barrier is by traveling at a speed of 80 kilometers per hour. This bike can travel well over that speed, and hence it is the only way out. Jira immediately agrees, and Lisa also decides to go with him, as she too has become a criminal for harboring a fugitive. In the next scene, the 2 pack their belongings and start their journey. Jira accelerates the motorcycle at its top speed and advances towards the invisible barrier. The plan works, and they manage to penetrate it, but in the process, the motorcycle breaks down and their clothes are also ripped off. Fortunately, they have brought along some extra clothes with them. The 2 then wander around the woods until it becomes night. They light a fire and sleep beside each other. In the morning, Jira catches a squirrel and cooks it for food, but Lisa, who has lived as a vegan her entire life, becomes disgusted. To express her dissatisfaction, she screams at the top of her lungs. Unfortunately, 2 hunters are nearby, and they find out that a girl is in their area. Lisa and Jira try to flee from the place, and an intense chase follows. However, despite their best efforts, the veteran hunters eventually catch up to them and apprehend them. The 2 are then taken to the slum, where the primates are shocked to see them. Baron, being a pervert, tries to touch Lisa, but Jira stops him from doing so. Meanwhile, the other people also start complaining that they want to have a chance with Lisa. They have never even seen someone as beautiful as her, so they are desperate to make love with her. They also claim that Baron is no longer in charge of the place, so they can do as they please. However, the new leader, Rat, manages to calm them down before the situation intensifies. He proposes that whosoever wants to have coitus with Lisa must take part in a brutal competition. The competition will be none other than their famous slap contest. At Two Hills, the cunning councilwoman, Vivian holds an emergency meeting and announces that Anya has been sentenced to the ultimate punishment. She will be sent to a place called Zero for 10 days. Meanwhile, Lisa's mom, Paulina, who is a cultural advisor of the city, is stripped of her position due to the crimes committed by her daughter. This adds salt to the already existing injury to her family. Elsewhere, Lisa meets Julius, and the two engage in conversation. She inquires about why he doesn't want to return to the colony, to which he responds that there, people aren't allowed any freedom. Julius claims that at Two Hills, everyone functions as robots, and life is very boring. If they make even a single error, they are punished in the harshest way possible. But here in the slums, he is allowed to do whatever he can. He can drink alcohol, make friends, and best of all, he can have intercourse with women. Jira says that he plans to stay here for as long as he can, and if possible, even make a family of his own. Hearing all this, Lisa is stunned, as she had never heard anyone prioritizing the slums over Two Hills. Later, Jira offers to show Lisa around the place. He wants to show her the different parts of the slums where he grew up and spent his childhood in. However, she is the least interested in it. Lisa refuses his offer and says that she wants to go back home. In an emotional outburst, she asserts that she is a civilized person, and hence she doesn't belong in these slums. She thinks she won't even last a month here and will become sick due to the environment. Unfortunately for her, Jira's grandfather reveals that no shuttles will be arriving here for the next 2 weeks. This means that Lisa will have to stay until then. Having no other choice, she reluctantly asks for a separate bedroom where no one can disturb her. Jira then directs her to a nice room where she can at least live out the rest of her days in the slums in peace. Meanwhile, Baron contacts his secret girlfriend and lies to her that he hasn't been able to track down the wanaway criminals. It is evident that he is up to something shady. Meanwhile, seeing Lisa upset, Julius approaches her and tries to explain the good things about the slums. He says that here, people can live freely without having to worry about rules and regulation. This is a place where one can do anything they wish and generate new ideas. They can even engage in fun activities like playing games, dancing, and drinking. However, Lisa wants to return home as soon as possible. She asserts that here in the slums, there are no facilities and everyone acts like a barbarian. She thinks mankind has regressed here and they are back to the Stone Ages. According to Lisa, if a person wants to live the best version of their lives, they have to live in a society which is civilized, modern, and full of facility. Punishment and order are just part of that society, and it keeps the bad people in check. Hearing all this, Julius finally starts missing his life back in Two Hills. So, he also decides to flee and return home. He tells Lisa that they should run away at night after everyone falls asleep. Outside, the new in charge of the slums, Rat, makes a new constitution and asks all the people to vote for it. He doesn't even read it aloud, but everyone agree. They are certain that he is going to do a great job and they will support him blindly. But unbeknownst to them, the Constitution states that Baron will be reinstated as the head of the slums in 2 weeks' time. Turns out everything was part of his plan, and now Baron is going to reclaim his power soon. At night, Julius visits Lisa and offers her a drink. Thinking that it's something good, she consumes it without any hesitation, but soon after she begins to feel dizzy, revealing that the drink was spiked. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Julius tries to have his way with her, but Lisa manages to kick him in the nuts, using the last ounce of her strength. She then gets up and runs away from there. After a while, Jira arrives at the scene and finds Julius writhing in pain. Realizing that Lisa has fled, he rushes out and searches for her everywhere. Fortunately, he finds her sitting beside a fire. Jira reassures her that he cares about her well-being and that he will not force himself on her. He says that he is not like the other primates who only care about having intercourse with women. Hearing his loving words, Lisa is convinced that he is a good person. The two then chat for a while and talk about different things. In the midst of their romantic chat, Jira gives her some chicken wings. Although Lisa is a vegan and she has never tried any meat products, she decides to try this one out. As expected, she loves it a lot and demands that he bring her more. Then, in a shocking turn of events, she says that she wants to have intercourse with him. She has heard that having sex is even better than chicken legs, so she wants to try it out. Jira replies it indeed is, and the two prepare to initiate the process. Lisa even lifts her dress to allow him to touch her, but before he can grab her, Paulina arrives at the scene with 2 of her guards. In the next scene, the group is heading back to Two Hills inside a shuttle. Paulina is brainstorming ideas on how to present the fugitives in front of Vivian. She knows that if she doesn't come up with a smart move, they will be further punished or even expelled from Two Hills. At this moment, one of the security women suddenly shoots Jira with a dart, knocking him out. After a while, they arrive at Two Hills, and Paulina begs Vivian to forgive her daughter. At first, The evil councilwoman refuses, saying they have committed a lot of crimes, and they are beyond forgiveness. But when Polina promises that Lisa will bring forth the primate and punish him in front of everyone, she agrees. The same day, all the prominent councilwomen are present in a meeting. After some discussion, they come to the decision that Jira must be punished at the highest order for all the crimes he has committed. Unfortunately, he is sentenced to execution. Later, Jira is brought in front of the entire crowd and injected with a syringe. He is then asked for his final wish, and Jira replies that he wants nothing but to say goodbye to Lisa. Hearing this, she becomes emotional and kisses him. This makes Jira feel very good, but the very next second, we get to know that he was dreaming. It turns out that his thoughts are being monitored with the help of some advanced equipment. The poor guy isn't even allowed to think at this point, and he starts regretting why he even came here. Meanwhile, Lisa starts feeling bad for giving up Jira to the authorities. Hence, she approaches the other seed keepers and requests their help in getting Jira out. Unsurprisingly, they agree without thinking twice. Later, the group arrives at the town hall and demands the freedom of their friend Jira. The seed keepers even threaten to stop the production of semen if their demands are not met. Vivian tries her best to make them understand that Jira is an unstable primate, but to no avail. Hence, she decides to release the criminal, but only if someone takes responsibility for him. Just then, Lisa steps forward and takes an oath by biting the holy apple. She asserts that if Jira does anything wrong, she will be held accountable. Soon, her mother, Polina, also does the same. After successfully getting him out, Lisa takes Jira to a guest house and asks him to stay there. The latter tries to kiss her, but Lisa refuses, saying she is tired of his actions. However, she immediately returns and kisses him. Then, the two end up having intercourse. Jira is elated to have finally broken his virginity, but the very next second, he again wakes up from his sleep and realizes that everything was a dream. Nonetheless, he wanders around the guest house and becomes awestruck seeing the advanced facilities in the room. Shortly after, Lisa and her mother arrive there and brief him about the situation. They reveal that they had to bargain a lot with the authorities, and this has gained them a bad reputation. However, they did manage to get Jira a total of 300 social points. Lisa mentions that if he again causes problems and gets his points reduced to 0, both of them will be punished. However, Jira doesn't pay much attention to it and utters some curse words. This results in a 13-point deduction for him. Elsewhere, Polina decides to participate in the upcoming election for Mother City. To gain followers, she approaches the seed keepers and provides them gifts. She also promises to make intercourse public if they help her win the election. Elsewhere, in the slums, the people are tired of the frequent power cuts. Hence, they approach Julius for a solution. The latter immediately thinks of an idea. He goes to a beehive, somehow extracts honey, and decides to give it to Vivian in exchange for some cash. However, when he approaches her, he instead asks to be taken back to 2 hills. The cunning woman stares at him deviously, and it is evident that she has an idea in mind. In the next scene, Vivian becomes jealous after learning that Polina is gaining popularity in the colony. She and her assistant discuss the different ways they can take control of the situation without offending the people. At last, they come to the conclusion that Polina must be eliminated by any means, or else she will rise to power and create problems for them. Hence, they decide to take her down. Meanwhile, Jira decides to help Polina in the election by hatching a bird's egg. He vouches for her in front of everyone, saying how kind and generous she is. This impresses the audience, and they start believing that he's a nice person after all. But just when things are finally going Jira's way, he receives a video call from Julius. The latter berates him for being a freak who wants nothing but intercourse with women. Julius also lies that Jira beat him up, threw him in the slums, and then went to 2 hills disguised as him. Hearing all this, everyone starts hating Jira again, making him upset. Later, Julius is welcomed back to the city. He is still injured by the nasty bee stings he suffered, but nonetheless, he vows to reproduce healthy babies as long as he is alive. All the people start praising him for his honesty, while Vivian orders Lisa to take care of Julius until he is back to his normal self. In the next scene, as the two are alone, Julius reveals that he didn't mean anything he said earlier. In fact, he was threatened by Vivian to do it. In reply, Lisa says that her mother can help him out, but only if he says everything honestly. Julius thinks for a while and agrees. After she leaves, an enraged Jira arrives and accuses Julius of lying. He then starts hurling obscenities at him, but seeing his social points reduced, he stops. In a fit of rage, he then grabs a holy apple and throws it against the wall, destroying it completely. Unfortunately, destroying an apple is considered a big offense in 2 hills. Hence, Vivian approaches him in the evening and reduces 100 social points. That's not all. She also accuses him of being a women offender and a pervert. Saying this, she nullifies his points completely. Just when it appears as if our protagonist is going to be executed, he receives a point from an unknown person. Then, in a shocking turn of events, he starts receiving several points. Turns out people are donating him points after his video of hatching the bird's egg went viral. Once he receives enough points, Vivian and her assistant storm out of the apartment in anger. Later, Jiro wears a bright dress and tries to win over Lisa, but she yells at him saying he is nothing but a troublemaker. She claims that her life was very simple, and everyone respected her in this society until he came here and ruined everything. Even her mother and grandmother are in regular trouble because of him. Jira tries to explain that he genuinely cares about her, and he's just being falsely accused by other people, but she is in no mood to listen to him. She then storms out of there, but not before telling Jira to keep distance from her. The outburst devastates our hero, and he decides to leave Two Hills once and for all. He writes a goodbye letter for Lisa and leaves it at the entrance. After a while, he reaches the endpoint of Two Hills and cleverly tricks the guard into opening the invisible barrier. Jira then proceeds to run away, but in the process, he gets hit by an incoming shuttle bus. Elsewhere, Lisa finds the letter where Jira has apologized for being a troublemaker. He has also mentioned that he is leaving Two Hills forever. This worries her because she had never expected him to take such a drastic decision. Meanwhile, Vivian and her assistant, Claudia, are discussing how they can win the election and maintain power. When they fail to find a solution, Vivian calls Baron and asks him to attack Two Hills with his primates. The brute man also wants to take control of the city, so he agrees without hesitation. In the next scene, we see Jira at the hospital. Fortunately, he hasn't sustained many injuries and is expected to recover soon. The following day, the cunning Vivian organizes a function and gathers all the ladies. Firstly, she talks about the importance of being a mother. Then, she brings forth a new lottery scheme where the lucky winner will get the chance to become a mother for free. On the other hand, Lisa and her mom are anxiously waiting for Jira outside the hospital room. They are genuinely worried for the guy and realize that they have started accepting him as a family member. Polina cheekily asks Lisa if she wants to be a mother, to which she replies yes. After a while, Jira is deemed fit and eventually discharged. Together, they then head to the function. There, Vivian approaches Polina and challenges her to take part in the games. Initially, Polina refuses, saying she's not in the mood, but when Vivian makes fun of her, she agrees. Surprisingly, she manages to defeat Vivian in all the games they play. This further enrages the cunning woman, as she has been humiliated by her arch-nemesis in front of the entire audience. Meanwhile, Jira asks Lisa to get impregnated by natural means rather than waiting for the lottery. As expected, she refuses, saying the method is primitive. However, Tanya, who is also lurking around, likes the idea. She requests Jira to impregnate her so that she can have a baby by natural means. Jira looks towards Lisa for permission, but when she doesn't respond, he says okay to Tanya. Shortly after, the result for the lottery is announced. To everyone's surprise, Lisa is declared the winner, and now she can get artificially impregnated for free. Meanwhile, Tanya takes Jira to her place and tries to seduce him. She seems to be head over heels for him and wants to have wild intercourse with him. This reveals that despite the strict rules in Two Hills, the women still have erotic desires in their mind, and they want to have natural sex with men. Tanya tries her best to get Jira in the mood so that they can start their activity. However, he doesn't seem to be interested at all, as he feels he only belongs to Lisa. Therefore, he politely declines Tanya and walks out of there. Back at the function, Lisa is brought up on stage for a speech. Surprisingly, when she sees Jira walking towards her, she changes her mind and decides not to accept the lottery award. Instead, she heads to Jira to kiss him so that they can let everyone know about their relationship. Our hero also agrees to it, and he proceeds to kiss her. But before they can do so, Baron and his men suddenly arrive at the scene. Chaos ensues as they start chasing the women to have intercourse. After completing the task that Vivian had ordered, Baron calls her and asks her to complete her end of the deal. But surprisingly, instead of complying, she says you know too much and hangs up the call. In no time, several security women, led by Claudia, arrive there with their weapons raised at him. Baron has nowhere to go, so he quickly holds Polina at gunpoint. He threatens to execute her if the guards come anywhere near him. Baron then slowly walks towards the Mother Center, where all the seeds to impregnate women are kept. Polina requests to be let free, but Baron locks her inside a room, along with himself. He knows that the cunning Vivian has deceived him, so he needs some kind of leverage to get out of this mess. Elsewhere, Lisa and Jira reunite and hide inside a house. She tries to contact her mother, but to no avail. After a while, Lisa turns on the TV and learns that the one who has caused all this chaos is none other than Vivian. She conspired with Baron and brought all these primates to Two Hills. Lisa tries to get out of the house, but learns that the AI has trapped them on Vivian's orders. On the other hand, 3 primates apprehend Lisa's grandmother, Anya, and force her to take them to her place. They want to have some food, and Anya promises to obey. However, as soon as she is let free, she picks up a crossbow and threatens them to follow her orders. It turns out Anya wants to start a revolution to legalize natural intercourse in Two Hills. She is tired of the artificial insemination and believes that humans should be allowed to have fun while reproducing. According to her, if they continue living like this, they will end up as robots in the not-so-distant future. Elsewhere at the Mother Center, Baron has been trapped with Polina. He tries everything to get out but fails. Enraged, he starts blaming Vivian for everything. Hearing this, an idea strikes Polina's mind. Since they are on the same boat, she vows to get Baron out, but only if he confesses everything honestly to the Supreme Mother. Baron knows that he needs help to get out of this place, so he agrees to work with Polina. With this, the two get out of the building, holding a box containing the precious seed capsules. Claudia and her guards try to apprehend them, but when Baron breaks some of the capsules, they reluctantly step back. They fear that if all the capsules are destroyed, the future generation of humanity will be at risk. After the two escape, they become friends and start conspiring against Vivian. Elsewhere, Jira and Lisa, who are still trapped inside the house, become bored and start to kiss. The AI of the house, January, asks them to stop, but the duo keeps making out. Surprisingly, this arouses Larissa, and she starts malfunctioning. She then restores to her default settings and ultimately opens the door, allowing Jira and Lisa to escape. Meanwhile, the old woman, Anya, enters Vivian's house with the primates to attack her. However, Julius arrives there in the nick of time and single-handedly defeats them. Enraged, Vivian immediately calls Claudia and orders her to kill Baron and Polina at all costs. Obliging to the order, Claudia scavenges the entire place with several guards and eventually corners Polina and Baron. However, before she can arrest them, Jira and Lisa arrive to their rescue in Baron's car. The latter is enraged that they took his car without permission, so he pulls Jira out. He then drives the car but ends up trapping it inside a muddy river. Because of this, Claudia and her guards capture all four of them. Meanwhile, Vivian finds out about the news and celebrates by having intercourse with Julius. Later on, the news of the seed being destroyed is shown on TV. This deeply upsets the head of the seed keepers, Lucius. He believes that all their years of hard work have gone into vain. He also becomes upset over the fact that he won't be able to see his children. While he is crying, Jira approaches him and asks for help. Lucius, believing that Jira is the main culprit behind all the chaos, starts attacking him, but he soon stops when the primate reveals that Vivian is the main villain. This makes Lucius' blood boil, and he vows to take revenge against the perpetrator who killed his children. So he agrees to help his friend Jira in whatever way he can. Jira then reveals that they have to get out of the colony and summon for help. But in order to do that, they have to cross the 80 km/h mark, which will not be an easy task. Surprisingly, Lucius has an idea. He brings out his bicycle and asks his friend to sit on it. Jira is still confused as to how a normal bicycle can cross that kind of speed limit, as it doesn't even contain any engine. However, Lucius just asks him to sit and trust him. He then pedals the bicycle so fast that it actually crosses 80 km/h, taking them outside the invisible barrier. Back in Two Hills, Lisa, Polina, and Anya are stripped of their social points. They, along with Baron and the primates, are also ordered to clean the Pacific Ocean of trash. The following day, Jira arrives at the slums with Lucius and meets his grandfather. The old man is looking at his college photos and reminiscing about his past. The two become happy to see each other again, and Lucius also appears to be excited to finally see the slums with his own eyes. After the introductions, Jira asks Lucius to call one of their seed keeper friends to know how Lisa and the others are doing. When Jira finds out that they have been zeroed out and ordered to clean the Pacific Ocean of trash, he becomes worried. So, wasting no time, he asks his grandfather for a solution. Surprisingly, the old man has a picture of Anya in his archives. This reveals that the two were college friends. When the old man learns that Anya is still alive, he immediately agrees to help. To begin with, he whips out an advanced laptop and tracks Anya's location. Inside Two Hills, Lisa and the others are brought to an apple orchard where they will work for the entire day. Soon, Vivian also arrives with her new boyfriend, Julius, and warns everyone to obey her orders, or else there will be consequences. On the other hand, Jira's grandfather finally arrives at the location where Anya is kept, but fails to see anyone around. This is when they realize that an invisible barrier is interfering with their networks. Just then, the notorious gang, Squirrels, arrive there. The leader of the gang calls Claudia to open the barrier and enters the orchard. Seeing this, Jira and the others also start thinking of an idea to enter. After a while, when some more squirrel members arrive, Jira pretends to be a drunk person. Hence, they apprehend him and take him to a woman named Katya. She is one of Vivian's good friends who likes to capture men and treat them as dogs. Katya does the same to Jira and makes him put on a mask. Then she takes him and the other human dogs to the apple orchard where Vivian is organizing a function. When everyone is distracted, Jira somehow approaches Lisa and hands her a ring which can be used to record the evil activities of Vivian. The plan is to expose her as a tyrant who cares about nothing other than fame and power. Lisa agrees to the plan and later enters a tent where Vivian and Katya are having fun with Jira and the other human dogs. Unfortunately, Julius, who also happens to be there, recognizes Jira's tattoo and takes off his mask in front of everyone. With his cover blown, Lisa tries to run away, but only ends up exposing herself as well. Seeing her, Vivian learns that she was being recorded. Hence, In a fit of rage, she orders her men to capture all of them and take them to the chemical. It turns out the chemical is a place where people are punished so brutally that they never come back from it. After they're taken away, Claudia checks Lisa's secret ring and learns that she has already sent the videos to the people of Two Hills. She tells the same to Vivian, and the latter suggests they eliminate the evidence by burning the whole apple orchard down. Elsewhere in Two Hills, Tanya gathers everyone in the main hall and shows them the leaked pictures of Vivian. She calls her a tyrant and warns the people that they are being led by the wrong person. Just then, Vivian arrives there with her assistant and announces that they are fake. Tanya doesn't believe it, so she challenges her to swear on the holy apple. At the same time, the Supreme Mother, Jadwiga Kristinowa, steps forward with an apple. Tanya immediately bites it, explaining to everyone that she is telling the truth, but so does Vivian. Knowing that one of them is lying, Jadwiga decides to investigate the matter herself. Hence, she and her helpers raid Vivian's place and start looking for clues. However, before they can get their hands on anything suspicious, Vivian destroys all of them one by one. Back at the orchard, Lisa seduces Julius to extract information out of him. The plan works, and he takes her inside the tent. However, when Lisa starts unbuttoning her shirt, Julius stops her, saying they have a problem. He then explains that Vivian and her people are going to burn the orchard down. But before he can talk about the solution, Jira arrives from behind and knocks him out. At the same time, the squirrel gang, who were guarding the place, barge inside and apprehend them both. Luckily, before anything bad happens to them, Jira's grandfather arrives there with Baron. The latter takes out a gun and shoots the squirrel's leader in the knee, prompting the other gang members to run away in fear. Following this, he walks towards the woman he has started to like, Polina. Similarly, Jira starts walking towards Lisa while his grandfather towards Anya. In the final scene, we see Vivian taking an oath in front of the city. She appears to have won the election to become the head mother. However, everything turns out to be her imagination. It turns out she is inside the execution chamber with wires wrapped around her head. Jadwiga eventually figured out about her deeds and apprehended her. Now, the new mother of the city is Polina, who bites the holy apple and takes an oath in front of everyone. She promises to be impartial and make Two Hills the best city in the country. Unfortunately, she also declares that the primates cannot stay in the city as they are dangerous and perverts.